Hello, it has been a long time since I've seen you guys. Welcome back. Today's video is another mashup and we are mashing up pastes. I have a ton of pastes. Texture paste, crackle paste, nouveau paste, paste. And I want to show you fun ways to use it. So I'm going to put this mashup together and you're going to leave with a ton of different ideas on how you can use up your paste because they don't last forever. They are going to dry out. So you need to use them. So sit back, relax, get your paste out, and let's get this done. I'm going to be using the glacier paste from Nouveau and also some white embossing paste and some crackle embossing paste, but there's a bunch of different kinds. There's translucent embossing paste, pearlescent embossing paste, all different, black, white, all from different companies. So I just wanted to kind of show you my stash of pastes that I have. Before I dive into today's video, I want to thank Craftsy for sponsoring my video today, and they're offering the first 1,000 of you a whole year of premium membership for just $1.49. Seriously. So Craftsy is an online hub for all things creative. They have more than 2,000 classes in over 20 different categories, like, of course, paper crafting, photography, knitting, cake decorating, woodworking, crochet. You think it, they got it. So Craftsy is an online hub for all things creative. They have more than 2,000 classes in over 20 different categories, like, of course, paper crafting, photography, knitting, cake decorating, woodworking, crochet. You think it, they got it. So obviously I was really enthralled with these cinnamon rolls. Oh my God, look at them. Ugh, but I had to get away from that, okay? So I wanted to do some art journaling with my daughter and I found Vicky's video. I know Vicky. I met her at a Creativation one time and she's a hoot and she likes peanut butter cookies. But anyway, she is the queen of journaling. So I got in here and just looked at a little bits and pieces of this and she teaches you how to make a whole entire journal page using stuff you already have in your craft room. She is the queen. Check her out if you want to make a journal. If you are interested in the deal of $1.49 for an entire year, no strings attached, you can click the QR code on the screen or in the link below. Remember, the first 1,000 people to click that link or that QR code will get a year's membership for $1.49. So I'm going to be doing basically a DIY stencil with this cover plate die here. I just ran it through my die cutting machine with some heavy cardstock, 110 pound, to create my own little stencil. And then I'm going to go in with two different colors of these glacier pastes. These are gorgeous colors. I am linking everything that I'm using below in the description. Now let me quickly tell you that it's a visual supply list, so there's only one link. You click on the link, it's going to open up a window and it's going to show you everything I'm using with pictures and everything, so you can kind of scroll with your eyes and pick exactly what you're looking for. I figured that's an easier and prettier way of showing you guys all the product here. So I'm just blending these two different colors. It's Pineapple Delight and Rainbow Melon or something like that. They're very pretty colors. And I just blended two different colors straight through my quote stencil. I'm sitting here doing the air quotes with my hands like you guys can see me. Anyway, so it doesn't always look pretty when you put it on, but it is, I promise. So I'm going to peel up my cardstock, or AKA my stencil, and then I'm left with this absolutely beautiful background. And because of that glacier paste, it's mica powder mixed in. It's beautiful, it's shiny, it's frosty, and I love it. And everything I use, any kind of product, I make sure that the glitter or the powder, whatever I'm using, doesn't come off of my fingers, because that's a big pet peeve when it dries and I still get bits of glitter and stuff all over. But mica powder, you don't have to worry about that. No issues here. Now, how I'm cleaning as I go is I have a bin of water and I am just dumping my supplies into the water until I have a chance to clean them. You don't want to let any of the pastes dry onto your stamps or stencil or anything like that, because it's hard to get up once you do that. So just keep a bin of water or clean as you go or whatever. But when to final clean, I just run it under some warm water and all the paste just rinses right off. Okay, back to what I was doing. So there's my leftover cardstock that I can easily glue onto a card panel and make a card, but I'm going to do a ghost print from this. And basically I'm going to take the stencil and I'm going to flip it over so the side with the paste all over it is pressing onto my cardstock. I'm going to grab some typing paper so my hands don't get all dirty. I'm going to press that. I'm basically transferring whatever the leftover paste is onto the card panel there. When I lift it up, I am left with this beautiful ghost print. And I think that is absolutely stunning. Now, all the backgrounds, I'm making 13 in today's video. I'm going to turn them into cards, but that's going to be in a different video. So hang with me. All right, so I also am going to do some pastes through a die. Now I am going to switch it up and not use glacier paste the whole video, so be sure, you know, to hang with me on that. But this is another new color. It's a red. I don't know. Again, everything, the names of all the products, the die, the stamp, everything I'm going to be using is going to be linked in the description below. So here I am putting it through a stencil. I didn't know how it would look. I didn't know if because the stencil is thicker than paper or stencil paper, if it would work, if I would lose the design, but I didn't. And in hindsight, I actually love it because the die is so much thicker than the stencil. It's raised even higher. So you're left with some beautiful dimension as well by just putting it through the die, and then just rinse it off in some water, and then you're good to go. All right, let's do some shadow pasting. These are totally made up names. I'm just making them up as I go. I'm going to do some very simple ink blending first through a stencil. And you know, just basic ink blending. You can use any kind of blending brush you have, makeup brushes, those little wedge sponges that were popular once upon a time. Anything you got to blend some ink through your stencil there. And then I did go ahead and switch my mat out. I'm using this light colored mat every time I use my paste because it's so easy to clean. I'm going to offset my stencil just a tiny little bit, and then I'm going to apply this Pineapple Delight color. I don't even like pineapple, and I totally can't forget the name of this color. I just can't, but it's so pretty. Anyway, moving on. Oh, and I'm digging these Nuvo spatulas. I like that they're bendable. They're like silicone, so they bend, and I really can get in all the nooks and crannies. I totally dropped my panel there, by the way. Look at that. Ugh, but it still turned out beautiful. This is one of my favorites. And you can pick whatever colors. You can do very contrasting colors, or you can do similar colors for a subtle look, whatever you want to do. Now I'm going to do some ghost paste stamping. This kind of did not turn out how I envisioned, but I'm keeping it in the video because now I know what I can do differently going forward. So my goal here was to apply a very thick color of paste through a stencil. It's almost like the kissing technique with stamps, but I'm doing it with the paste. So it's super thick. It doesn't look pretty. It looks like a bunch of slime all over my cardstock. But I'm going to take a stamp here. It's a beautiful detailed stamp. Fresh squeeze background stamp from Catherine Pooler. I'm going to press it down really hard because I really want that paste to pick up on my stamp. And two things could have happened. If this had turned out the way I wanted, I would have picked up all that background on that pasted area. Some of it picked up, some of it didn't. It's not my favorite. I'll probably cut this up and use it in another way, but I'll end up doing it again in the video. But all the paste that transferred onto my stamp, I wanted to get my ghost print off of. So I'm going to take it, press it onto some cardstock, and look at that. I would not have gotten that look if I had applied the paste straight to the stamp. But this worked out perfectly, and I adore this background. Now we're going to do some tinted crackle paste. And this crackle paste is old, but I wanted to see if it would work. It's usually a lot creamier, but this is old, so whatever. I'm still rolling with it. It still worked, but whatever. So I'm adding a couple of drops of ink refill in there. This is where I really had to work it because it kind of was dry, but I got it to work. So I'm going to just continue to add. You can mix up your colors if you want to and create your own custom colors. You can also tint it with some ink pad if you want to, which I'll do in just a second. And then I'm going to go ahead and apply that right through my stencil. So again, tint it whatever you want. It doesn't matter, and use whatever you have, whether it's a refill, whether it's watercolors, just no permanent kind of ink. While I'm doing this, if you wouldn't mind going ahead and clicking on that subscribe button and click that notification bell right below, and you'll be notified of all future posts that I do. All right, so then I decided to add a little bit of white. Again, if you have crackle paste and it's not 10 years old, yours will be easier to kind of smooth out. But I had to work at mine, but it still worked. The results are still fantastic. I just had to work a little harder than you would have to do if you had paste that wasn't so stinking old. So anyway, once I peel back the stencil, you're left with this beautiful result. And once it dries, you get all that crackle and that texture. So think about putting that through, like, to make trees, the texture of trees and things like that. It's just so pretty. Here's another way you can tint your embossing paste. First, I'm going to go in with the ink refill, which you've already seen me do. This is regular white embossing paste, so there's no texture. Again, there's other things like pearlescent, so you're going to have that little shiny look. There's translucent, so it'll just be like a raised effect, but it's going to be translucent, so whatever color cardstock you use is what you're going to see through the paste. But this is regular white. I tinted it with an ink refill. And I'm going to have this leftover paste here. So you'll see what I do in just a second. So I'll pick up that stencil there, and then I'm left with that. So simple tinting and white embossing paste, and you can get a look like this. And it's so pretty, and you can make your own custom colors. While I'm there, I'm going to very quickly grab a ghost print because I'm not going to waste all of that paste that's on top of my stencil. So I'm just flipping the stencil over like I did before. This is, I don't know, straight out of the garbage can to use it. It just protects my hands from getting all gross. And then I'm left with this like grungy artistic look, but it's got a little bit of texture, and there's like all these ghosted areas. It's really pretty. So I still have all this paste that's left on my block, so I'm going to use that up. And I'm just using an acrylic block. You can use a plastic plate, something disposable, if you don't want to worry about cleaning up. Which in hindsight I probably would have done because I'm lazy and I don't like cleaning. But I'm going to put that paste through. Then I'm going to go, and I'm using a fresh palette knife. I don't want to contaminate my ink or my paste. And then I'm going to pick up some more of that paste, and then I'm going to go ahead and tint it with ink pad. Most of you have an ink pad. You might not have refills. So I wanted to show you that this was possible to do it this way. Just make sure you're working on a clean area. So I cleaned off part of my acrylic block, pressed on some ink. That's all that jazz from Catherine Pooler, and then I'm just mixing up the paste just like that. It's a lighter color. I could have gone in, added more ink to a cleaner area, and continued to mix to get a darker color if I wanted to, but it's really fun to find out, to create your own custom colors and depth, if you will. So I am spreading the bejeebies out of this. Like, I am putting a thick layer of paste on this. And once I'm done with that, I'm going to take my stamp, and here I am. I'm going to do my stamping again. And this turns out very well, unlike the green one. So this is what I'm going to do. Once I stamp it, it looks like I missed a little area there. I'm going to pick that up, and then you will see the design. You'll see some of that come right through, and that is so pretty. So you can use a pattern stamp or whatever you want to really pick up that image from your stamp and stamp it with some paste. Now, you can put paste onto a background and not do a stencil at all, and you'll get a very detailed look, but there's something about the stencil and the kissing technique, if you will, and marrying those two together, and it really comes up with a pretty, pretty, pretty look. All right, just a couple more to go. This is glass bead glitter gel, and this is from Faber-Castell. And you just smear this through some dark cardstock, and it's like magic. Like when you put it on, you can actually see all the holographic. It changes colors as you turn it. And so I'm just putting it on dark cardstock. I feel like it shows the best. You don't need a super thick layer. You can tint it if you want to, but gosh, I don't know if you need it. But every time you turn it, it's a totally different color. It's like magic, and it's super cool. And it's like textury, but of course none of it comes off on your hands. So this is Embellishment Mousse meets Refill Blending. I don't know what kind of title that is, but that's what I did. So this is some embellishment mousse. I've never opened it, so I'm grabbing my X-Acto knife, being careful not to slice up my fingers. And this is just, I don't even know what color this is. Again, it'll be linked in the supply list for you, but it reminds me of coffee, and it makes me very thirsty. And I'm using this through a leaf stencil, also from Catherine, and I'm just putting it right through. I don't know. There's something about embossing pastes and stencils, but maybe I should do a video on embossing pastes with no stencils, because not everybody has stencils. And, I'm acknowledging that now as we're 11 and a half minutes into the video, but okay, moving on. So then I decided to grab ink refill. This is sangria. It's like a wine color, and I just putting little drops. I think I do 3 drops total, and I'm blending it through. It's not an even blend. It's a messy blend, but because of all the detail on the stencil, it's going to be very pretty. Right now it's ugly, but you have to think when you peel it up, that's where the magic is unveiled. So once I get it nice and smooth, I'm going to peel up that mask. And this is probably one of my favorite backgrounds I created. It is so pretty in the 2 different colors. It's gorgeous. What can I say? It's gorgeous. All right, we're on to our very last one, which is monochromatic. It's absolutely how it sounds. It's super easy. You don't have to be all wild and crazy. You don't have to tint if you don't want to. You don't have to have colored cardstock. You just grab a stencil. Here I am with a stencil again, but grab a stencil, grab some white paste, grab some white cardstock, put it through a stencil or whatever you have. Make your own stencils with dies and cardstock, and boom. Just white on white is so pretty. Now again, all of these backgrounds I will turn into cards in my next video or two. So you're going to see all these backgrounds again. But look how many backgrounds we created. This real time was probably 25 to 30 minutes to create all these backgrounds, but seriously. Now to start with, I want to go ahead and tint the embossing paste. Now this is just the regular white embossing paste by Wendy Vecchi. I love it. It's like frosting. And I'm so stingy with my embossing paste because I love it so much. I don't want to use more than I have to. So I'm actually going to be tinting it with Distress ink, and it's no wonder that I'm going to be using peacock feathers. 2 drops. Wanted to kind of keep the colors the same so you could see the difference between the two, and I'm mixing it around. Now again, paints, Distress inks, you can smush some ink down onto your craft mat. If you don't have that, you can do an acrylic block or a piece of plastic or a plastic plate, something like that, and mix it all around until you get the color that you want. You can make your own colors by adding a couple of different ink refills or ink pads. Just play around because I love embossing pastes. I love them. So anyway, as you can see, I'm smearing around a very thick layer this time. Not being so stingy with the embossing paste this time. I want to get as much as possible onto this sheet. And I'm not really worried about smoothing it out either. So I'm just smearing it around with my palette knife. If you don't have a palette knife, you can use edge of a cardstock. You can use a credit card, Starbucks card, just anything with a flat, smooth surface. Now I'm using that same ink pad, and as you can see, I've got a pretty thick layer there. Do your best not to shift. It's going to be very easy to shift right here because there's so much embossing paste on the card. So press as much as you can. Look how inky my hands are, and I don't care. If you don't like getting your hands dirty, then don't try this technique or wear gloves. But I don't care if my hands get all dirty. It doesn't bother me. And when you lift it up, look. Isn't that cool? So obviously you get a lot more of a textured look here. And here it is all nice and dry. It's cool. It's so stinking cool. Now this last card here, card base, is probably my favorite technique here. We're going to, again, tint some embossing paste, and we're going to apply it with a stencil that you've seen many people do. I've done it in other videos as well. And I'm going to use 1 drop of the picked raspberry re-inker here. So I'm working with Distress ink refills because I like the colors, but again, use whatever you want, whatever you have on hand. Now the more ink you add, obviously the darker color you will get, so keep that in mind as well. So I'm taking the stencil, that's the mini blazonry stencil from the Crafter's Workshop, and I'm going to go ahead and adhere it down to the craft mat with some masking tape that I had over there. And I'm going to go ahead and start spreading around my embossing paste over the stencil. So neat, so cool. I love making your own custom color embossing pastes. And the Wendy Vecchi embossing pastes are fantastic. They come in silver and white, and you can get a crackle embossing paste. There's a whole pearlescent embossing paste. There's a lot on the market out there, and I do recommend her embossing pastes very much. So anyway, I've got that. I'm smoothing it out, making sure that I've got good coverage over the stenciled areas there, making sure I've filled in all of the design there, keeping it smooth. And now I'm taking, this is Honeycomb by Impression Obsession. This is a little background image. And you can see I did not peel up my stencil. Keep your stencil there, and then take your stamp and press it into the stencil and the cardstock. I'm pressing, I hope you don't see my head. I think I'm in my pajamas while I'm filming this video, just so y'all know. And when you lift it up, ooh, isn't that neat? Now it's important to use a stencil that's got a lot of open spaces, and then it's important to use a stamp that has a lot of small images to get the design there. But look at that. That's my favorite. I'm going to be using that a lot. Look at that. Look at that. Isn't that pretty? And the embossing paste gives you all that dimension. It's so